McCormick. McCarthy. McGarvey. Jeffries. McGovern. Jeffries. McHenry. McCarthy. Meeks. Jeffries. Menendez.
On behalf of New Jersey's 8th Congressional District, heading United Democratic Caucus, Hakeem Jeffries.
Jeffries. Ming. Jeffries. Muser. McCarthy. Mfume. Jeffries. Miller of Illinois. Donalds. Miller of Ohio. McCarthy. Miller of West Virginia. McCarthy. Miller Meeks. Miller Meeks. Mills. McCarthy. Molinaro. McCarthy. Molinar. McCarthy. Mooney. McCarthy. Moore of Alabama. Moore of Alabama. McCarthy. Moore of Utah. McCarthy. Moore of Wisconsin. Jeffries. Moran. McCarthy. Morelli.
Mr. Jeffries.
Jeffries. Moskowitz. Jeffries. Moulton. Jeffries. Mervan. Jeffries. Mullen. Jeffries. Murphy. McCarthy. Nadler. Jeffries. Napolitano. Jeffries. Neal. Jeffries. Neguse. Jeffries. Nels. McCarthy. Newhouse. McCarthy. Nickel. Jeffries. Norcross. Jeffries. Norman. Donalds. None of Iowa. McCarthy. Obernolte. McCarthy. Ocasio-Cortez. Jeffries. Ogles. Donalds. Omar. Jeffries. Owens. Owens. Pallone.
You said you missed him saying the first. You said it. You said it and you stand right there.
Just go, so start with Owens and then have them just repeat it. Start with Owens and go down.
Owens. McCarthy. Pallone. Jeffries. Palmer. McCarthy. Panetta. Jeffries. Pappas. Jeffries. Pasquarel. Jeffries. Payne. Jeffries. Pelosi. Jeffries. Peltola. Jeffries. Pence. McCarthy. Perez. Jeffries. Perry, Donalds. Peters, Jeffries. Pedersen, Jeffries. Pfluger, McCarthy. Phillips, Jeffries. Pingree, Jeffries. Pocan, Jeffries. Porter, Jeffries. Posey, McCarthy. Presley, Jeffries. Quigley, Jeffries. Ramirez, Jeffries. Raskin, Jeffries. Reschenthaler, McCarthy. Rogers of Washington, McCarthy. Rogers of Alabama, McCarthy. Rogers of Kentucky, McCarthy. Rose, McCarthy. Rosendale, Donalds. Ross, Jeffries. Rouser, McCarthy. Roy, Donalds. Ruiz, Jeffries. Rupersberger, Jeffries. Rutherford, McCarthy. Ryan, Jeffries. Salazar, Salinas, Jeffries. Sanchez, Jeffries. Santos, McCarthy. Sarbanes, Jeffries. Scalise, McCarthy. Scanlon, Jeffries. Schakowsky, Jeffries. Schiff, Jeffries. Snyder, Jeffries. Skolton, Jeffries. Schreier, Jeffries. Swikert, McCarthy. Austin Scott, David Scott, Jeffries. Scott of Virginia, Jeffries. Self, Donalds. Sessions, McCarthy. Sewell, Jeffries. Sherman, Jeffries. Sherrill, Simpson, McCarthy. Slotkin, Jeffries. Smith of Missouri, McCarthy. Smith of Nebraska. McCarthy. Smith of New Jersey, McCarthy. Smith of Washington, Jeffries. Smucker, McCarthy. Sorensen, Jeffries. Soto, Jeffries. Spanberger, Sparts, Sparks, Stansberry, Jeffries, Stanton, Jeffries, Stauber, McCarthy, Steele, McCarthy, Stefanik, McCarthy, Stile, McCarthy, Stube, McCarthy, Stevens, Jeffries, Stewart, McCarthy, Strickland, Jeffries, Strong, McCarthy, Swalwell, Jeffries, Sykes, Jeffries, Takano, Jeffries, Tenney, McCarthy, Tanadar, Jeffries, Thompson of California, Jeffries, Thompson of Mississippi, Jeffries, Thompson of Pennsylvania, McCarthy, Tiffany, McCarthy, Timmons, McCarthy, Titus, Jeffries, Tlaib, Jeffries, Takuda, Jeffries, Tonko, Jeffries, Torres of California, Jeffries, Torres of New York, Jeffries, Trahan, Jeffries, Trone, Jeffries, Turner, McCarthy, Underwood, Jeffries, Valadeo, McCarthy, Van Drew, McCarthy, Van Dyne, McCarthy, Van Orden, McCarthy, Vargas, Jeffries, Vasquez, Jeffries, Vesey, Jeffries, Velasquez, Jeffries, Wagner, McCarthy, Wahlberg, McCarthy, Waltz, McCarthy, Wasserman Schultz, Jeffries, Waters, Waters, Jeffries, Watson Coleman, Jeffries, Weber of Texas, McCarthy, Webster of Florida, McCarthy, Winstrup, McCarthy, Westerman, McCarthy, Wexton, Jeffries, Wild, Jeffries, Williams of Georgia, Jeffries, Williams of New York, McCarthy, Williams of Texas, McCarthy, Wilson of Florida. Jeffries. Wilson of South Carolina. McCarthy. Whitman. McCarthy. Womack. McCarthy. Yackham. McCarthy. Zinke. McCarthy.
The reading clerk will now call the names of the members-elect who did not answer the first call of the roll.
First one I have first one I have is
Arrington. McCarthy. Buck. Buck. Costa. Jeffries. Cuellar. Jeffries. Doggett. Jeffries. Donalds. Donalds. Gomez. Jeffries. Green of Tennessee. McCarthy. Grothman. McCarthy. Kim of California. McCarthy. Miller Meeks. McCarthy. Salazar. McCarthy. Austin Scott. McCarthy. Cheryl. Jeffries. Spanberger. Jeffries. Sparts. Present.
We got to read the third part.
So you still have one? No, still have Buck. Huh? Yeah, so let her read what she needs to
Yep.
read.
Elect who did not answer the call of the roll, they may come to the well and vote at this time. The tellers agree in their tallies that the total number of votes cast is 432, of which the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries of the State of New York has received 212. The Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the State of California has received 200. The Honorable Byron Donalds of the State of Florida has received 17. The Honorable Kevin Hearn of the State of Oklahoma has received 3, with 1 recorded as present. No member-elect having received a majority of the votes cast, a speaker has not been elected. For what purpose does the gentleman from Arizona rise?
Madam Clerk, I rise to nominate Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The American dream is a dream.
House is not in order. Order! House is not in order.
The American dream is a dream worth fighting for. And I know in my hearts of hearts that Kevin McCarthy is the man to lead us as we work to fulfill that dream for everyone in every state and in every district. Everyone in this chamber understands the need to serve our constituents. It's who elected us, and it's our responsibility. Kevin understands this as well as anyone. He has dedicated his life to spreading opportunity for all through the private sector and the public sector. You know, this place is a special place for me. My first time on the Hill was back when I was an intern in 2003. My mom visited, and I remember walking her around the halls of Congress as if I owned the place. Well, just a few days ago, I got to walk my mom around one more time this special place, but now as a member-elect of the United States House of Representatives. The American dream is alive. I believe it. I've gotten to know Kevin McCarthy well. He secured a Republican majority in the United States House and laid out a plan to deliver for the American people. There's one thing that I know about Kevin McCarthy. He cares about the American people. He cares about our country and is here not to be somebody, but to do something. And that has been laid out in his commitment to America, to fight for an economy that is strong, a nation that is safe, a future that is built on freedom, and a government that is accountable. This I can strongly get behind. This country gave me and my family an opportunity to achieve the American dream. Friends, I was born in Mexico. The best way that I can tell you who I am is through a short conversation I had with my dad when I told him I was going to run for office. This conversation, of course, in Español, in Spanish. My dad asked me, Juan, where else could we have our story? We come to this country, we immerse in the culture, we learn English, we go through the long journey and become U.S. citizens. He said, I drive a bus my whole life, and now my son has a shot at becoming a member of the United States Congress. Where else in the world could we have our story? Yes, sir. But where else in the world could any of us have our story? Regardless of our background, regardless of where we come from, what side of the aisle we sit on, we have the privilege and opportunity to sit here today as part of a historic moment, fighting for what we believe. The answer of where else is nowhere else, only here. I trust Kevin to fight for that American dream because he's a product of it. We're all a product of it. He gets it and understands that a government accountable to the people is the best tool to ensure that our future generations continue to have a real shot at the American dream. So let's be proud of our stories. Let's be grateful to God for it all. And let's get to work to ensure that everyone has the same opportunity to write their own story. Being a representative isn't a job title. It's a job description. The eyes of the world are on us as we are airing our grievances. That's the cost of leadership. The leadership that comes from this body. So let's act like it. Let's step up to that calling that our country needs and our districts expect from us. I am confident we will resolve this issue and will stand united to fight for the values that matter to the American people. The American people who sent us here to tackle inflation, to protect our border, to hold the executive branch accountable. It's time to do the job we were entrusted to do, to get results for the American people that sent us here. And the best person to lead us in this journey and in this fight to defend the American dream for all is Kevin McCarthy. And I am proud to stand here before you today as the first naturalized citizen in the history of Arizona to win a congressional seat. Proud of the work of my parents, my dad, who drove a bus for most of his life, my mom, a homemaker. We grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment. Didn't own a home until I was in college. But my story is not unique. I washed cars with my dad in the same neighborhood that our office sits today. We're not here celebrating one particular story. We're here celebrating the American opportunity, only found here. Being born from this body as well, as the opportunities of our country have gone. And all of you in this room have that story. I strongly believe that we all have a car wash story, the story where we began. And in spite of all the challenges, in spite of all the obstacles, we are here. And each one of us are a testament to the opportunity and the greatness of this country. And that is why we are here. And I strongly believe that Kevin McCarthy is the person to lead this body in this new fight, this next 118th Congress. So, at the direction of the Republican Conference, I advance the name of Kevin McCarthy as the next Speaker of the House of the 118th Congress.
For what purpose does the gentleman from California rise?
Madam Clerk, I rise again to nominate Hakeem Jeffries for Speaker of the House.
The gentleman is recognized.
Madam Clerk, I want to thank my colleague on the other side of the aisle for sharing his American dream story and for his family for being here with him at his side. It is our hope that this chamber gets down to the business so he and all the new members in this chamber can be sworn in to do the work of the people. That's why House Democrats stand united again on this ballot to make sure that Hakeem Jeffries is the lead vote getter in this chamber. And it's also why it's important, just like I relayed a few days ago, Madam Clerk, the importance of the character of Hakeem Jeffries, who he is, his story, and why he should be given an opportunity to lead this chamber. In New York, after the 5th grade, you can't get on a bus to go to school anymore. You have to take alternate means. You can walk or you can take a train. In 6th grade, he and his brother would walk to the train station, take the train, get off the train, and walk to school. Now, there's a little disagreement in the Jeffries household as to how many days his father took him on that route before he let him navigate that route with his younger brother. The character it takes for an older brother in 6th grade and his fourth grade little brother to go to school each and every day in New York, to be on their own, to handle themselves, and to handle each other. That's the character of this man. That's the character of a leader you want in this chamber. He's going to be the one who walks with you, who sees you through the day, who makes sure your priorities are his priorities. And at the end of the day, when it's just you and he's going to make sure we all do the business of this body, and we all get home for our families. There is nothing more important than the work that we do in this chamber for the American public. Safeguarding priorities like Social Security and Medicare, making sure that our families are taken care of, making sure that the families in our communities are taken care of. And what we've seen in this chamber is tough. It's tough to watch. It's tough to imagine what would happen in this chamber today if we were debating Social Security and Medicare. What would happen? What would the votes be? Where would people stand? That's why it's important that Hakeem Jeffries leads this body. On behalf of the Democratic Caucus, I am nominating the leader of the governing party in this chamber, Hakeem Jeffries from New York.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Florida rise?
Madam Speaker, I would like to rise to nominate Byron Donalds for Speaker of the House.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
I've known Byron for roughly about 4 years now, and being that he's from the state of Florida, I can tell you that I've come to know him on both the campaign trail and personally. But I want to clarify something real quick to my colleagues across the aisle. What you're seeing with this discussion does not mean that we are dysfunctional. And in no way, shape, or form will a Democrat ever hold the gavel to a Republican-controlled House. These discussions and dialogues have actually been good for the American people. And although the media tries to pit us against each other, I can tell you that it's been something that we need as a country. There are people that are frustrated with this process. Byron, through this entire time, has done something that I think most leaders should do more of, and that is listen. Respect people when they're talking. Understand the needs of the American people. Be willing to take negotiations, but also to realize when is a proper time to stand your ground on certain things. I asked my colleagues today to support him. I think he's an incredible representation of what this country is, and that is exactly why he has my vote for Speaker of the House. Thank you.
For what purpose does the gentlewoman from Colorado rise?
Madam Clerk, I rise to nominate Kevin Hern of Oklahoma for Speaker of the House.
The gentlewoman is recognized.
It's as simple as that, folks. Let's start getting somewhere with this. Realize the facts. Kevin McCarthy does not have the votes. Let's elect a Republican who can unify our conference, who is a true leader. I'm casting my vote for Kevin Hern, and I hope you will as well. I yield.
The reading clerk will call the roll. Okay.
Adams. Jeffries. Adderholt. McCarthy. Aguilar. Jeffries. Alford. McCarthy. Allen. McCarthy. Allred. Jeffries. Amodei. McCarthy. Armstrong. McCarthy. Arrington. McCarthy. Auchincloss. Jeffries. Babin. McCarthy. Bacon. Bacon. Baird. McCarthy. Balderson. Balderson. McCarthy. Ballant. Jeffries. Banks. McCarthy. Barr. McCarthy. Barragan. Jeffries. Bean of Florida. McCarthy. Beatty. Jeffries. Bentz. McCarthy. Barra. Jeffries. Bergman. McCarthy. Beyer. Jeffries. Bice. Bice. Biggs. Hern. Bilirakis. McCarthy. Bishop of Georgia. Jeffries. Bishop of North Carolina. Bishop of North Carolina. Blumenauer. Jeffries. Blunt Rochester. Jeffries. Boebert. Boebert. Hearn. Bonamici. Jeffries. Bast. McCarthy. Bowman. Jeffries. Boyle of Pennsylvania. Jeffries. Burkeen. Hearn. Brown. Jeffries. Brownlee. Jeffries. Buchanan. McCarthy. Buck. Buck. Bouchon. McCarthy. Budzinski. Jeffries. Burchett. McCarthy. Burgess. McCarthy. Burleson. McCarthy. Bush. Jeffries. Calvert. McCarthy. Kamick. Kamick. Caraveo. Jeffries. Carbajal. Jeffries. Cardenas. Jeffries. Carey. McCarthy. Carl. McCarthy. Carson. Jeffries. Carter of Georgia. McCarthy. Carter of Louisiana. Carter of Louisiana. Jeffries. Carter of Texas. McCarthy. Cartwright. Jeffries. Kassar. Jeffries. Case. Jeffries. Caston. Jeffries. Castor of Florida. Jeffries. Castro of Texas. Jeffries. Chavez DeRemer. McCarthy. Shearfurlis McCormick. Jeffries. Chu. Jeffries. Cicilline. Jeffries. Ciscomani. McCarthy. Clark of Massachusetts. Clark of Massachusetts. Jeffries. Clark of New York. Jeffries. Cleaver. Jeffries. Klein. McCarthy. Cloud. Donalds. Clyburn. Jeffries. Clyde. Clyde. Donalds. All good. Cohen. Jeffries. Cole, McCarthy, Collins, McCarthy, Comer, McCarthy, Connolly, Jeffries, Correa, Jeffries, Costa, Jeffries, Courtney, Jeffries, Craig, Jeffries, Crane, Hearn, Crawford, McCarthy, Crenshaw, McCarthy, Crockett, Jeffries, Crow, Jeffries, Cuellar, Jeffries, Curtis, McCarthy, Davids of Kansas, Jeffries, Davidson, Davidson, Davis of Illinois, Jeffries, Davis of North Carolina, Jeffries, Dean of Pennsylvania, Jeffries, DeGette, Jeffries, De La Cruz, McCarthy, DeLauro.
In order.
DeLauro, Jeffries, Del Bene, Jeffries, DeLuzio, Jeffries, DeSaulnier, Jeffries, Desjarlais, McCarthy, D'Esposito, McCarthy, Diaz-Balart, McCarthy, Dingle, Jeffries, Doggett, Jeffries, Donalds, Donalds, Duarte, McCarthy, Duncan, McCarthy, Dunn of Florida, Dunn of Florida, Edwards, McCarthy, Elzie, McCarthy, Emmer, Escobar, Jeffries, Eshue, Jeffries, Espaillat, Jeffries, Estes, McCarthy, Evans, Jeffries, Ezell, McCarthy, Fallon, Feenstra, McCarthy, Ferguson, McCarthy, Finstad, McCarthy, Fishbach, McCarthy, Fitzgerald, McCarthy, Fitzpatrick, McCarthy, Fleischman, McCarthy, Fletcher, Jeffries, Flood, McCarthy, Foster, Jeffries, Fushi, Jeffries. Fox. McCarthy. Lois Frankel. Jeffries. C. Scott Franklin. McCarthy. Frost. Jeffries. Fry. McCarthy. Fulcher. McCarthy. Gates. Hearn. Gallagher. McCarthy. Gallego. Jeffries. Garamendi. Jeffries. Garbarino. McCarthy. Mike Garcia. McCarthy. Robert Garcia. Jeffries. Garcia of Illinois. Jeffries. Garcia of Texas. Jeffries. Jimenez. Jimenez. Golden of Maine. Jeffries. Goldman of New York. Jeffries. Gomez.
Why don't we give it some more?
So go ahead and hit Gomez.
Gomez. Jeffries. Tony Gonzalez. McCarthy. Vicente Gonzalez. Jeffries. Good of Virginia. Donalds. Gooden of Texas. McCarthy. Gosar. Donalds. Gottheimer. Jeffries. Granger. Granger. McCarthy. Graves of Louisiana. McCarthy. Graves of Missouri. McCarthy. Green of Tennessee. McCarthy. Green of Texas. Jeffries. Green of Georgia. McCarthy. Griffith. McCarthy. Grijalva. Jeffries. Grothman. McCarthy. Guest. McCarthy. Guthrie. McCarthy. Hageman. McCarthy. Harder of California. Jeffries. Harris. Hearn. Harshbarger. McCarthy. Hayes. Jeffries. Hearn. Hearn. Higgins of Louisiana. McCarthy. Higgins of New York. Jeffries. Hill. McCarthy. Himes. Jeffries. Henson. McCarthy. Horsford. Jeffries. Houchin. McCarthy. Houlihan. Jeffries. Hoyer. Jeffries. Hoyle of Oregon. Jeffries. Hudson. Hudson. McCarthy. Huffman. Jeffries. Huizinga. McCarthy. Hunt. McCarthy. Issa. McCarthy. Ivy. Jeffries. Jackson of Illinois. Jeffries. Jackson of North Carolina. Jeffries. Jackson of Texas. McCarthy. Jackson Lee. Jeffries. Jacobs. Jeffries. James. McCarthy. Jayapal. Jeffries. 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 Johnson of Georgia. Jeffries. Johnson of Louisiana. McCarthy. Johnson of Ohio. McCarthy. Johnson of South Dakota. McCarthy. Jordan. McCarthy. Joyce of Ohio. McCarthy. Joyce of Pennsylvania, McCarthy. Camlogger Dove, Jeffries. Captor, Jeffries. Kane of New Jersey, McCarthy. Keating, Jeffries. Kelly of Illinois, Jeffries. Kelly of Mississippi, McCarthy. Kelly of Pennsylvania, McCarthy. Khanna, Jeffries. Kiggins of Virginia, McCarthy. Kildee, Jeffries. Kiley, McCarthy. Kilmer, Jeffries. Kim of California, McCarthy. Kim of New Jersey, Jeffries. Krishnamurthy, Jeffries. Custer, Jeffries. Kustoff, McCarthy. LaHood, McCarthy. LaLota, McCarthy. LaMalfa, McCarthy. Lamborn, McCarthy. Landsman, Jeffries. Langworthy, McCarthy. Larson of Washington, Jeffries. Larson of Connecticut, Jeffries. Latta, McCarthy. LaTurner, McCarthy. Lawler, McCarthy. Lee of California, Jeffries. Lee of Florida, McCarthy. Lee of Nevada, Jeffries. Lee of Pennsylvania, Jeffries. Ledger Fernandez, Jeffries. Lesko, McCarthy. Letlow, McCarthy. Levin, Jeffries. Liu, Jeffries. Lofgren, Jeffries. Loudermilk, McCarthy. Lucas, McCarthy. Lukemeyer, McCarthy. Luna, Donalds. Luttrell, McCarthy. Lynch, Jeffries. Mace, McCarthy. Magaziner, Jeffries. Maliotakis, McCarthy. Mann, McCarthy. Manning, Jeffries. Massey, McCarthy. Mast, McCarthy. Matsui, Jeffries. Macbeth, Jeffries. McCarthy, McCarthy. McCall, McCarthy. McLean, McCarthy, McClintock, McCarthy, McCullum, Jeffries, McCormick, McCarthy, McGarvey, Jeffries, McGovern, Jeffries, McHenry, McCarthy, Meeks, Jeffries, Menendez, Jeffries, Meng, Jeffries, Muser, McCarthy, Mfume, Jeffries, Miller of Illinois, Donalds, Miller of Ohio, McCarthy, Miller of West Virginia, McCarthy, Miller Meeks, McCarthy, Mills, McCarthy, Molinaro, McCarthy, Molinar, McCarthy, Mooney, McCarthy, Moore of Alabama, McCarthy, Moore of Utah, McCarthy, Moore of Wisconsin, Jeffries, Moran, McCarthy, Morelli,
Mr. Jeffries.
Jeffries, Moskowitz, Jeffries, Moulton, Jeffries, Mervan, Jeffries, Mullen, Jeffries, Murphy, McCarthy, Nadler, Jeffries, Napolitano, Jeffries, Neal, Jeffries, Neguse, Jeffries, Nails, McCarthy, Newhouse, McCarthy, Nickel, Jeffries, Norcross, Jeffries, Norman, Donalds, Nunn of Iowa, McCarthy, Obernolte, McCarthy, Ocasio-Cortez, Jeffries, Ogles, Donalds, Omar, Jeffries, Owens, McCarthy, Pallone, Palmer, McCarthy, Panetta, Jeffries, Pappas, Jeffries, Pascrell, Jeffries, Payne, Jeffries, Pelosi, Jeffries, Peltola, Jeffries, Pence, McCarthy, Perez, Jeffries, Perry, Donalds, Peters, Jeffries, Pedersen, Jeffries, Pfluger, McCarthy, Phillips. Jeffries. Pingree. Jeffries. Pocan. Jeffries. Porter. Jeffries. Posey. McCarthy. Presley. Jeffries. Quigley. Jeffries. Ramirez. Ramirez. Raskin. Raskin. Jeffries. Reschenthaler. McCarthy. Rogers of Washington. Rogers of Washington. McCarthy. Rogers of Alabama. McCarthy. Rogers of Kentucky. McCarthy. Rose. Rose. Rosendale. Rosendale. Hearn. Ross. Jeffries. Rouser. McCarthy. Roy. Donalds. Ruiz. Jeffries. Rupersberger. Jeffries. Rutherford. Rutherford. McCarthy. Ryan. Jeffries. Salazar. McCarthy. Salinas. Jeffries. Sanchez. Jeffries. Santos. Santos. Sarbanes. Jeffries. Scalise. McCarthy. Scanlon. Jeffries. Schakowsky. Schakowsky. Jeffries. Schiff. Jeffries. Schneider. Jeffries. Skolton. Jeffries. Schreier. Jeffries. Schweikert. McCarthy. Austin Scott. McCarthy. David Scott. Jeffries. Scott of Virginia. Jeffries. Self. 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 Donalds. Sessions. McCarthy. Sewell. Jeffries. Sherman. Jeffries. Sherrill. Jeffries. Simpson. Simpson. McCarthy. Slotkin. Jeffries. Smith of Missouri. Smith of Missouri. McCarthy. Smith of Nebraska. McCarthy. Smith of New Jersey. McCarthy. Smith of Washington. Jeffries. Smucker. McCarthy. Sorensen. Jeffries. Soto. Jeffries. Spanberger. Jeffries. Sparts. Sparts. Stansbury. Jeffries. Stanton. Jeffries. Stauber. McCarthy. Steele. McCarthy. Stefanik. McCarthy. Style. McCarthy. Stube. McCarthy. Stevens. Jeffries. Stewart. McCarthy. Strickland. Jeffries. Strong. McCarthy. Swalwell. Jeffries. Sykes. Jeffries. Takano. Jeffries. Tenney. McCarthy. Tanadar. Jeffries. Thompson of California. Jeffries. Thompson of Mississippi. Jeffries. Thompson of Pennsylvania. McCarthy. Tiffany. McCarthy. Timmons. McCarthy. Titus. Jeffries. Talib. Jeffries. Takuda. Jeffries. Tonko. Jeffries. Torres of California. Jeffries. Torres of New York. Jeffries. Trahan. Jeffries. Trone. Jeffries. Turner. Turner. McCarthy. Underwood. Jeffries. Valadeo. McCarthy. Van Drew. McCarthy. Van Dyne. McCarthy. Van Orden. McCarthy. Vargas. Jeffries. Vasquez. Jeffries. VC. Jeffries. Velasquez. Jeffries. Wagner. McCarthy. Wahlberg. Wahlberg. Waltz. McCarthy. Wasserman Schultz. Jeffries. Waters. Jeffries. Watson Coleman. Watson Coleman. Weber of Texas. McCarthy. Webster of Florida. McCarthy. Winstrup. McCarthy. Westerman. Westerman.
Did you hear something? Toward the dump side. He's in the very back.
McCarthy. Wexton. Jeffries. Wild. Jeffries. Williams of Georgia. Jeffries. Williams of New York, McCarthy. Williams of Texas, McCarthy. Wilson of Florida. Wilson of Florida, Jeffries. Wilson of South Carolina, McCarthy. Whitman, McCarthy. Womack, McCarthy. Yacom, McCarthy. Zinke, McCarthy.
The reading clerk will now call the names of the members-elect who did not answer to the first call of the roll.
First one I have is Bacon. First one I have is Bacon. Yeah. Bacon.
Bacon, McCarthy.
Gets Vice.
Bice, McCarthy.
Okay, Bishop of North Carolina. So
Bishop of North Carolina, Donalds. Buck. Buck. Kamek. McCarthy. Davidson. McCarthy. Donalds. Donalds. Dunn of Florida. McCarthy. Emmer. McCarthy. Fallon. McCarthy. Jimenez. McCarthy. Hearn. McCarthy. Pallone. Jeffries. Ramirez. Jeffries. Rose. McCarthy. Santos. McCarthy. Sparts. Present. Wahlberg. McCarthy. Watson Coleman. Jeffries.
If there are any members-elect who did not answer the roll, then they may come to the well and vote at this time.